Before I start off today's video, I want to show you guys what I am growing right now in my office. I got a tower garden and I got all these little plants growing. I'm growing tons of basil and parsley. I got some arugula, some baby lettuce and things like that growing, so super excited for my tower garden. But anyways, I'm gonna sit back down at my desk and we are going to go through another Instagram video, or what am I talking about? Another Instagram post. So what I get for trying to set things up and talk to you guys at the same time. Today I'm going to read through another one of my posts that I created, and we're going to chat about it because lots of good information on my post. Okay, let's see which one I want to do today. This is a good one. All right, are you guys ready for this post? So this one is where is my period? Why your body has stopped cycling. For those of you guys who don't know, by the way, I struggled with amenorrhea, which is a lack of period, so no menstruation, for 11 years. That's right, 11 years. I got my period when I was like 13. I developed anorexia when I was 14, and it shortly thereafter went away, and then I didn't get it until I was 25 years old. It's been, oh gosh, well, I'm almost turning 27, so it's been over a year and a half that I've had my period. That seems weird to say. Yeah, it's been over a year and a half that I've had my period back. Anyway, so this is something that I love to talk about on my page. Obviously, this is like what I do is I help people get their period back, and it's so great. But I made a simple post like this because I know that when I was struggling with amenorrhea, I didn't even think it was a bad thing, first off, that my period was gone, and I didn't understand why it was gone. Like, I kind of had my hunch, of course, like, hey, I'm not healthy, I have an eating disorder, so my period's gone, but I didn't actually know why my period wasn't there. And it wasn't until I started learning about that stuff that it was like, oh, this makes sense. Okay, so if I want to get my period back, what I need to do is X, Y, and Z, because this is the clear reason why my period is gone. It just like made it all make sense, which for me really gave me the confidence in going forward in my recovery. So let's read what I wrote in my post. So you haven't had a visit from Aunt Flo in a while, and you're beginning to wonder, where's she at? Her disappearance can seem like an all-perplexing thing, when in reality it's quite simple as to why your period has gone. No mystery at all, really. Here are the most common reasons. 1. Underfueling, eating too little for your needs. 1,200 calories ain't gonna cut it, honey. So this is the number one way for you to lose your period, is simply to just not eat enough food, guys. Your period is there because you ovulated. Ovulated is there to potentially get you pregnant. If your body does not have enough energy to even focus on you, it is most definitely not going to want to grow a baby. So it smartly turns off those hormones that would build or create an egg to send out through ovulation. It stops that, so that you're not ovulating, and therefore you never get a period. So that's really what it is. It's not that you don't get a period, it's that you're not ovulating. I think that's also an important sort of note. Something, again, even at the age of 25, I don't think I really understood until I really started learning stuff. So yeah, 1,200 calories. I know children who eat way more than this. Let's just put it that way. Especially when I garner to say that the 1,200 calories is going to be from broccoli and asparagus and kale salads. It's not even going to be 1,200 calories of milk and butter and eggs and steak and all of that. So that is really just the best way to send that signal to your body of hey, I don't have enough resources here to get pregnant. So, period's gone. The second one is restriction, dieting, cutting out certain food groups. But veganism is healthy. Keto is the only way. Carbs are the devil. High high carb, low fat. I'm like, I forget what this means. HCLF. High carb, low fat is the only way to health. High fat, low carb is the only way. I've heard it all, darling, but if you don't have a period, then that way of eating is not healthy for you. If you are cutting out a certain food group, stop. You need fat, you need protein, you need carbs, end of story. I think this is super important. So you could be, technically calorically eating enough, but if you're not eating a balance of food, you risk really throwing your body off. For example, so many girls these days, they cut out carbs. Pasta's bad. Bread is bad. We should never eat potatoes, though they throw out all carbs, even fruit, which I personally never got why people cut out fruit, but people cut out fruit. I just don't see how you can even say fruit is bad. This is the extent to diet culture where it's just why? How can you do that? Oh my gosh. Okay, so if you cut out your carbs, you are going to be putting a lot of stress and strain on your metabolism. Your liver runs off of glucose. Heck, every cell in your body runs off of glucose, but your liver in particular really runs off of glucose. If you don't have enough glucose, then your liver is not going to be able to do its job. What's the liver's job? To convert T4, the inactive form of thyroid, into T3, which is the active form of thyroid hormone, which is what helps regulate your metabolism. So you could be eating all the steak and butter that you want, but you can run into hormonal issues and thus metabolic issues if you cut out all carbs. Same thing, let's take it on the vegan side. If you decide to cut out every single food that has bioavailable nutrition and that is very nutrient dense, aka eggs, oysters, scallops, steak, chicken, duck, pate, if you cut out all of those things, you're not only restricting yourself on the amount of nutrients you can get, but you're going to be impacting your gut microbiome. You're going to be, throwing a whole hormonal cascade off because, wow, look, now I'm eating a cholesterol-free diet. Now I don't have enough cholesterol to synthesize vitamin D. Now I'm low in vitamin D, which makes me totally wacky in my vitamin A levels. And I mean, the cascade here, guys, the cascade. So I think this is a good point that I said right here is that if you, no, what did I say? I said, I heard it all, darling, but if you don't have a period, then that way of eating is not healthy for you. Trust me, I was vegan for over 5 years. I was a staunch believer in that way of eating, and I would exclaim to any and everyone how amazing a vegan diet was, right? But I also was dealing with hair loss, brain fog, insomnia, no period. I was dealing with major digestive issues, bloating, constipation, all of that. So it's just funny to me how I could say but this is healthy, but my diet's healthy. So I would go to these doctors, I would go to these naturopaths and all that, and it'd be yeah, well, I don't have my period and I have this and I have that. And I would give them this long list of things that were wrong. And I'd be but I don't get it because my diet's healthy. I'm vegan. How did I not put two and two together? Obviously that diet is not healthy for me if I am experiencing all these things. So I don't care how many research articles are out there saying that veganism is the one and only way to eat, or that you should eat high carb, low fat, or high fat, low carb. I don't care. If your body's giving you these negative symptoms, your body's giving you the negative symptoms for a reason, and you gotta listen to that. So the next reason why your period is most likely gone is overexercising. Lots of high intensity or HIIT workouts without proper rest days. You can't just train super hard at the gym 24/7, guys. I know that's what you think you have to do, but I promise you that is the sure way just to live in a chronically high level of cortisol, if that makes sense. Living with high cortisol levels, that is the key way to do that, especially if you add intermittent fasting on there and you do fasted workouts. That's a whole nother video to be made. I have a lot of Instagram posts specifically about that because it's such a huge topic. I do highly recommend, if you are someone who intermittent fasts, I recommend looking up the work of Dr. Stacy Sims. She wrote oh my gosh, Chloe, my words. she gave a TED Talk called Why Women Are Not Small Men, and it really just shows how the research on like intermittent fasting wasn't done on women, and the way that intermittent fasting affects women is way differently than men, and it shows that it's actually quite detrimental for a woman to be intermittent fasting. So that was my pen. So I'm like a mess today. So I recommend listening to that. But back to the over-exercising stuff. Balance with everything, guys. Exercise a little bit, don't exercise too much. If you've already messed up your metabolism and you are struggling with amenorrhea, exercise has to go out for a little bit. At least that's in my opinion. That is also shown in the research of Dr. Nicola Rinaldi, who has done a plethora of research on amenorrhea, and she shows that, yeah, exercise is going to be a big block if you were doing too much exercise, or even any. That's going to be a big block to you getting your cycle back. Can some women get their cycle back while exercising? Yeah, I've seen it. Can they fully heal their relationship to exercise and get their period back? That's a little bit more questioning, right? It's hard to redefine your relationship to exercise without just like completely taking it away for some time. Building some space in between that, unlinking the whole connection with like food and exercise, and then being able to go back to it later. So next point here, too low body weight or low body fat percentage. Fat stores are very important for hormonal production. Losing weight too quickly can also be a contributor to that, as it freaks the body out. We're designed to have more body fat than men, let's just put it that way. We can't survive as women optimally on 3, 5, even 10% body fat. So again, let's look at the work of Dr. Nicola Rinaldi. She shows that it's like a 21% body fat or a BMI of 22 that is that fertile range. And I found that to be true not only with myself, but with a lot of my clients too. It's kind of like once they hit that range of like getting up to, at least 21% body fat, that's when their cycle comes back. So this is really an important thing to mention here, because I see this being a contributing factor to a lot of women's amenorrhea, is just simply being at too low of a body weight. Now, I know you may not think you're too low of a body weight, but again, the body doesn't lie. Like, the body is obviously not working properly while being at that weight that you're at right now. So if you need help with the whole gaining weight process, I get it. It's really hard, because that goes against like everything that we're told in society. That's why having a coach can be really helpful, because we really work through breaking down this weird thing that our world has with body fat. Okay, stress. Keep in mind that panicking and obsessing over your food and body every day is considered stress to the body. And then, there's also stress from not sleeping well. There's stress from your job. There's stress from school. There's so much stress, but I wanted to pinpoint this stress because I think when we think of stress, we think of, the deadlines for school, we think of the exams, we think of all that stuff, and we really like see how the stress we have of like having the perfect body, or I have to eat the perfect food, we don't see like that's just stress, and that's really impacting us. So I think there's nothing better for a human being to just be free with food and to have no stress about this thing called food and body and exercise, and to be able to just intuitively and naturally eat. I think that is one of the healthiest things for people, because it relieves such a huge stress that a lot of people hold. And then this last one here, I said a nutrient void diet. One of the most undermined contributors to amenorrhea that I see is eating a diet that has cut out some of the most nutrient-dense foods: butter, cream, red meat, fish, eggs, and replaced it with things like margarine, vegan cheeses, nut butters, tofurkey, almond milk, etc. Like I sort of just alluded to before, the milk, the eggs, the steak, like those are the foods that just have a lot of bioavailable nutrition. Now, I'm not saying we can never eat cookies. I never said that. I never said that you can't have cheesecake and churros and chocolate, and like I had a bunch of mochi last night, and okay, by me saying you know, that it's important to add in these things. I'm not excluding other things. It's more about what you're not eating than what you are eating, honestly. So what you're not eating, like all these things that I mentioned here, the butter, the cream, that's going to have a really bad impact on your just overall health in general. So making sure that you're not restricting yourself and you are eating nutrient dense foods, and not just also, you know, I'm not dissing processed foods. I'm not saying that they are bad and you should never eat them. Heck, that's not how I live my life. Like, sure, I go out to restaurants, I buy some packaged food. I don't stress about that. But I also have a balance of those things. And yeah, in recovery, that balance was a little bit more off, right? I reached to really fighting my fear foods and eating a lot more processed stuff. But I also made sure that I had like bone marrow and sardines and oysters and things like that that I just know are really nutrient dense. So I think there's a way to balance it out in recovery in a non-obsessive way. I think there is. So I said, reread the above and be honest with yourself. Have you gone vegan? Lost weight rapidly? Cut out all carbs? Started exercising every day? Chugging almond milk instead of real milk? Reduced your calories? And sit in bed going over every single last thing you ate for the last 2 weeks to make sure you were in control of it all and didn't go over some arbitrary amount of calories. And then whatever, I was like, want to get your period back? You should coach with me. Yes, because that is what I do. I help girls get their period back. So I hope that that was helpful for you guys to understand why your period is gone. Let me know in the comments down below. Do you resonate with some of these things that I said? Does it sort of like ding, 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 like it's making sense? Like, oh, it's because I'm exercising 7 days a week, doing intense HIIT workouts. I intermittent fast. I am eating like under 1,200 calories a day. I am vegan. I never go near butter or sugar or, you know, X, Y, and Z. I never eat a carb. I never eat any of that. Like, wonder why my period's gone. So there's a reason, and it's really cool that there's a reason, because then it's like easy to know what the solution is, right? Like the solution is eat nutrient dense foods, eat more foods in general, up your calorie intake, reduce or eliminate exercise. Start adding in some nutrient dense foods. I really like steak. I think that that is a great nutrient dense food to add in. And also release stress, and that is a whole nother thing of just like releasing perfectionism, releasing this need to control, because that's adding to a lot of stress. So go ahead and make sure you tap that like button. Just don't double tap it, because then that eliminates the like that you did. So tap it once and then hit the subscribe button. And hit also that little bell, because it will notify you when I come out with my next video. So that would be super important. And I will see you guys in my next video, where I go through another one of my Instagram posts. All right, guys, have a good one.